do intend to I want to talk about my why and the why of the team that I work with, and it is all around worldwide income inequity. And oftentimes, when I speak and I talk about the work we do, I inform the audience that I'm not just working for the sake of working or for another research paper or for tenure track. This is real work we do that changes people's lives in our community and in our world. I'll first talk to you about our new publication, The Future of Work. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time there because we will be doing the official launch next week, and we will be launching for a while. But I do want to let you know that it is indeed part of the work that I'm covering. What I haven't done with you before is talk to you about a lot of the corporate trends in terms of the future of work. I am an ambassador for Exeper in terms of the future of work. And so I get a lot of information, resources about what's going on in the field and discipline. And I thought this time it would be good if I shared some of that with you, very short clips. I don't have time to share all of the clips, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about the trends and so that you could hear them now. We'll talk about Deloitte. Deloitte is big in the work in the future of work. They do an annual report. They do lots of surveys of corporations and managers and leaders all over the world, and they boil that back down into what is it going to take to run the businesses of the world. I'll talk a little bit about the trends of IBM. IBM is one of the organizations I came from in my earlier career, and they have changed where the future of work and direction. So I figured I'd show you a little bit about the tech sector. I'll talk to you a little bit about Dell and IBM wrapping up the tech sector. I'll talk to you a little bit about the trends in the future of healthcare, and I use Mayo Clinic. And then finally wrapping it up with Prudential Financial Services. Now, and I do this with actually talking with the or videos from some of these corporate executives, and I will have to sum some of it up because even though they're short clips, and this time I don't to go with you. So I want to say that the worldwide income and equity, we just got the ability in 2018. I saw when the data came because we've been working since 2016 on some of the issues and trying to get more of our students and more people in our communities to have more income and more work. And in 2018, the World Inequities Development Group from massive amount of funding was able to produce the first data set. They did it in 18, 19, 20. You're looking at 2020 data right now, and the darker areas indicate where it is the most inequitable. And you see in Latin America, you see in Africa, and many places where you have those who are underserved. 10% of the people have more than 50, almost 70% of the wealth. So that is the issue why we work so hard in the area of the future of work and entrepreneurship, hoping to find more income in more income equity as we go along. And so let me to the next one. Overview of our publication. Here I won't spend a lot of time, but both our practitioners and scholars shared insights on what was happening in the future of work and entrepreneurship, because in many countries, entrepreneurship or casual or informal or small businesses is a big engine driver in the economy. What we wanted to do with our handbook was give diverse voices, authentic voices, the opportunity to share what they saw from the bottom up in the future and how they could help change the way that the world was seen own eyes. There were three key themes that we looked at. I won't spend a lot of time on this. We looked at how is technology and innovation driving all of this? And what is going to happen to the masses of people who are not able to keep up? And then we wanted to do some recommendations from all of those diverse voices that we talked about. And so here I want to start talking about the trends. I'm 5 minutes into my presentation and I have 10 more minutes left. Everyone should expect to be working with machines in the future. The new book, Work Disrupted by Jeff Schwartz, principal of the future of work at Deloitte, came out and he said a lot of things that made a lot of sense. What he said in that book, and he says in this particular video that talks about the book and the work that they do at Deloitte, was what is going to make the real difference between those who succeed post-pandemic is resilience and adaptability. You've got to be able to persevere and you've got to be able to change. Now, I won't go into this particular video because it's about 3 or 4 minutes
I want to come
long.
back to automation that you mentioned. In the book, Jeff, you talked.
But I will go to the next one because I really want you to hear what IBM says. The pace of technology and innovation will require all of us to continue upskilling and reskilling. And what I found fascinating about the IBM that is here now and not the one that I went to, 50% of those jobs that they have now worldwide will not require degrees. And one of the things Nikki said was that 75% of the world don't have degrees, and that's a huge talent pool to ignore. Let's hear her a little bit.
Let's talk about upskilling and reskilling. As we know, a very large percent of our population is going to need to be retrained. So how are you tackling that internally? How are you helping IBMers reskill themselves or upskill themselves in the context of AI automation that's in front of us?
Yes, so I'll answer it again, thinking about this on 2 levels. In technology in particular, the half-life of skills is decreasing. No longer can you get a certification or a degree or a set of skills, and that will last you an entire career. The technology is just moving too fast. And so one of the things that all companies need to do, whether you're in technology or not, is that you need to build as a piece of your culture this concept of continuous learning. It needs to be how your company operates. If you think about it, a lot of the work around growth mindset is fundamentally on that level. That's the way we evolve and work and continue to stay contemporary as humans. But it's even more important for companies to make sure that they set that expectation in their culture so that employees know what's expected of them. But then it's also incumbent upon you as an employer to make sure that you're giving them opportunities to do that. And we've done that a couple different ways. So if you think about, well, how do you plumb continuous learning? How do you make it real in an organization? One of the things that we did was we created an online digital platform. I like to think of it as Netflix for learning. It's called Your Learning. It is AI enabled. It will surface recommendations to you based on your job profile, but it will also show you curated learning roadmaps. So if I said I wanted to be a Java programmer, it would actually curate the entire path and might say to me, Nicole, it will take you 250 hours to have that happen. For you, if you said I wanted to be a Java programmer, it might curate a different set of learning. And it might say, Dr. Singh, it will take you 3 hours. But that type of personalization and customization is exactly what organizations need so that employees can feel empowered and that you're not wasting time and energy and resources so that you're sitting for it.
Okay, so what IBM is saying is that a lot of what we have done in the past is not going to work in the future, and we will need to retool and upskill. So now we talk about Dell. Dell chief human resource officer had 6 top technologies for digital transformation. I'm not going to go through every one of them one by one because he will be getting the slide presentation and you can hear them yourself. But he really believes that understanding telecommunications and the 5G environment is going to be one of the difference makers into the future and to those who will and those who will not be able to be competitive in this new marketplace.
So Dell Technologies.
But this one I do want you to hear is about healthcare because the healthcare sector is huge in the face of the pandemic that we're going through. It is going through transformations. And the trends in healthcare will be that employers will have choice, and so will employees. Listen to what she has to say. This one is very short.
Let's come back to workforce. You've discussed healthcare and how the clinical aspects are often emphasized when people think about careers. If you were to look at from a macro perspective, the trends, what kind of trends are you seeing emerging from a workforce perspective?
Well, I mean, the trend you're seeing, at least in healthcare, it will follow, I call it an employer's choice. So you are getting a lot more kind of entrance into people or organizations that want to help people's health. It could be Amazon, it could be Google, it could be coming from our insurance organizations, it could come from the healthcare services. So you are getting a lot of invention that is in the end trying to figure out how to help people. Now, here's what we also, a lot of different brilliant ideas, things that we haven't thought about that are shifting our paradigms about how care is given. How do you work through preventive care? How do you early indicate that someone's going to have the likely of having a heart attack without having any other signs except for certain algorithms, et cetera, right? So you've got, first of all, that. At the same time, you've got the kind of the desire for the consumer to do a lot more things at home. They want to do it at home. They don't want to be inconvenienced. We have, in some regards, commoditized certain elements of healthcare. So I bring those two things together to say, first of all, I think the trend of healthcare is you're going to get a very much of a baseline. It's going to be commoditized. It'll be things that you get as a matter of routine. It's things that are going to be super convenient. You're going to go to Costco, get your kit. You're going to go to Walgreens and actually get your test, whatever it is, or you're going to stay at home and something's going to happen to you. That's going to be there. There is going to be an emerging level of healthcare, and this is where Mayo Clinic's always going to be, which is at that pinnacle of things that are emerging, subspecialty things that you'll just never diagnose without really very good problem solvers who've seen it many times, be able to get that diagnosis that you otherwise wouldn't get. It's going to come not only because of human touch and actually experience, but it's come through platform and data, and all those things will come together. So it's going to be quite bifurcated. The true kind of high level data scientists, physicians, researchers, clinicians, business people that are thinking about this in a very different way. And then I'd say the rest is more about an operational excellence element of the delivery of healthcare day in and day out. People will live longer. People will actually get better care. They'll have better lives. And I think it's playing within those kind of two parts. You got to figure out where you are. You've got to excel at that. That will mean huge things for the workforce, because it may not be as much as the mid-level providers, but rather at the top of the game or more of a commodity-ish type kind of delivery.
Okay, so in our last section, the financial sector, I will just summarize it for you. Prudential, the chief human resource officer, says that focus on the business acumen. Technology is a driver, innovation is a driver, but you need to understand your core business, your core mission, what it is that differentiates you from your competition, what it is your customers want and need, how to keep your employers, your talent base there and happy. So on this particular one, it was like, don't let the technology take you out of business. Stay true to your business.
The skills that you need for...
I am going to go to my summary. I'm going to say that corporations recognize that technology and innovation will drive continuous change. In our new book, we shared a summary of the perspectives on what the future of work and entrepreneurship will evolve into the new normal. Worldwide, there will be a need for resilience, adaptability, and inclusion in the future of work and entrepreneurship. last, I want to quote from, I really enjoyed this book. And if you haven't read it, I suggest that you read it in the future of work, Work Disrupted. Indeed, our communities can serve as laboratories for innovation where we can develop and test reskilling programs, explore the creation of transition nets, and reset local agendas as precursors to resetting national policies and programs. What this means that we all can work from bottom up instead of top down. You as researchers, you as analysts can work with the politicians, the policymakers, and all those who help to make a better normal than we had before, because we don't ever want to go back where all the people are in poverty. Thank you. Okay.